say something, and then we throw a curveball at their head. Why are so many stories about criminals in the underbelly of society? Because you want extreme things, the worst things that happen all the time. How come so many professors, not the good screenwriting professors, by the way, but how so many professors are from Harvard in movies? You ever notice that? Like every other professor is from Harvard. Another thing is, let the film happen in the audience, and that's just as simple as knowing what scenes to write and knowing what scenes to omit. And your first go-through, you're going to go fat and long and redundant, that's fine. But what most good screenwriters do is they immediately start editing themselves and playing with it. Most amateur screenwriters think everything they do is brilliant. They're so happy. They can't wait to read it to their girlfriend or whatever. Oh, wow, isn't this great? No, it's not. Think about this. What are some of the great cuts in film structure? What are some of the... There it is. Go down. Go away. Go away. I showed it, but if you didn't see it, tell me. What is one of the great cuts in film history? Hey, he got it. Now, think about this. 2001, right? The apes, the weak apes, get the bone. They show up back at the water hole. The strong apes are there, right? They're ignorant, they're powerful, they're confident. The weak apes figure out that bone is a weapon. Boom! You're dead. Screw you. I win. And he takes that bone, remember? And remember how his face is so human. And he throws it. And we watch it. Now, we could have cut to what? I wrote some of these down. We could have gone to Greece and Rome. We could have gone the invention of the wheel. We could do gunpowder, cut to the play, Shakespeare, Enlightenment, steam engine, the light bulb, Charlie Chaplin, World War II. We could have gone to a number of human history milestones. But we go all the way to 2001 in the spaceship. And the audience fills it all in, don't they? And that's the film happening in the audience. When your writing is doing it, when you're aware of what an audience will write for you, what you can take out, there's so much more room to write what you need. You're always fighting time and space. Most screenwriters, now Sorkin was mentioned, Sorkin overwrites terribly, and he'll admit it. But dialogue does play, he is very good at dialogue, dialogue does play a little quicker, and he can get away with it now because he's Aaron Sorkin. Oliver Stone, I knew, you know what he used to do? Sometimes he hired, this one project, he hired 2 sets of writers, didn't tell them. 2 sets of writers on this one project until then the scripts come in, and Oliver took both scripts and said, thanks, guys, and then rewrote them into the screen. Shit happens. I can talk about true stories. He mentioned briefly earlier about the difference truth versus fact, which is a big deal, but it's like dialogue. You're not trying to write actual the way we converse with each other. Dialogue is like a painting. In real life, is like a photograph. It is a much more nuanced, controlled emphasis of what you're trying to do in the scene. And most of you overwrite. Now, I once had, in all my work with actors, most of them get insane when you cut their lines. They don't like it. What do you mean? You cut my scene? I love that scene. You cut these lines? I liked it. I like saying that. I had one actor, though, who did the exact opposite. He said, Musca! What? Musca! What? Cut some of my lines. I can't act. It's overwritten. I can't act. I can't do anything. It's too many words. I was Benicio del Toro. He wanted me to bring his down so he had room to move within the moment, to feel, and act. You have to be aware of what the actor and director can bring to a moment. Character. You can argue that the purpose of drama is to demonstrate how people take action that is outside the realm of their personality. I rewatched The Godfather the other day. 1 and 2, back to back. Michael Corleone starts as a war hero. He becomes a godfather far more deadly than his own father ever was. It's all about character change. What does a character want? Seems like a very simple question. Character is expressed through action and it's overcoming obstacles. You must make sure you have enough obstacles. Put your character up a tree, throw rocks at it, and get them down again. That's the 3-act structure. All right, I'm going to jump all this. This is all wonderful stuff, but I think you've heard 2 screenwriting teachers back to back, and I'd rather answer some questions you have. Let me see if there's anything else. I love this. Love interest, sex is Cleveland, romance is Paris. Okay? There's a reason the door closes in a lot of films and the lights go black and we cut away from sex. It's really not that interesting. Why? Because these people aren't in conflict. They decided to consummate their relationship. Where's the conflict? There isn't any. There's nothing to watch. It's how they have sex. Okay. That's pornography. All right? Description. Be concise. Seduce the reader. I stole these from some of my students.
What was that? Too much something? What? Can you just go back?
Too much detail.
Yeah.
When you overwrite your description, the reader actually stops participating. He's like, you're setting, you're painting up. Let me give you an example of that. I love something. I'll read it. I was reading a student script, and he was describing a law office. A lot of stuff, becomes legal in screenplays. And he was talking about the mahogany furniture and the ladders that roll left and right, and the bookcases, and the window, and the light, and the creaky floor, and the rug. And I said, I just spent 20 minutes reading what this scene looks like from the point of view of the production designer. What am I watching? He said, well, I wanted to know that it's a it's a very, big-time law office. So I said, why don't you just write this? A law office that charges $800 an hour. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. You're not the production designer, you're the screenwriter. Write with active, not passive words. J. Storms have action, movement. What are the things about film that we like? It's kinetic, it moves. The hardest thing about film is internal conflict. Brilliantly done in On the Waterfront, though. Those of you who want to see a great example of what Marlon Brando has always often said to be the best actor, go watch On the Waterfront and go watch internal conflict within an actor. You'll see it. It's not voiceover. It's Brando playing his emotions. We talked about this. We talked about this. This is another thing. Dare to be loud and forceful. How many times a semester I tell my students, hang a lantern on it. You have a major inflection point in your screenplay. Show me it is. Don't bury it in a paragraph. Give it some room, air. Make sure I know that this is where the screenplay goes this way. This is an important point. Make sure you show it. Don't just include it. Emphasize it in your screenplay. Finding your style. Style is not easily imposed. It's who you are as an artist. You don't find your style, it finds you. This is an interesting thing for young writers to read. Because I think when I was young, it was a bit of a show-off. Your screenwriting, writing style is not a way to show off. It's probably just the opposite. It's your sincerity. Trust the material. Trust the material. Write less, think more. It's one of the things I learned. I used to start writing way too early. I never wrote the synopsis. I never did that. I started writing on scene. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Look at this. I got 10 pages, 15, 20, 25, 30 pages. Whoa, look at this. I don't do that. I contemplate my journey with my character, who they are, what it could possibly be. And then something that shows me that you know something what a camera can do. Stage your scenes. Have the implication of staging, how they're going to be photographed, without using the words close-up or wide shot or any of that. It's an emphasis. You're a conductor. Conduct your screenplay. So it's easy to read. Make it easy to read. All right, I think about there. Hollywood doesn't need another Tarantino or Wes Anderson. They already have those. They want the first year. Write a screenplay that no one but yourself can write, and then it might have a shot. Don't jump on someone else's bandwagon. It's not going to work. If you're already 3 years too late, all this. By the time your screenplay gets made, that idea is old hat. All right, that's enough, right? Here's just so to show you. Here's this is what I write. This is synopsis. I got a job on this at HBO's. So it's only what? Look at this. It's only a page and a half. But it's the essence of the movie. It auditioning for a movie. It eventually did become a screenplay. All right? Preguntas, por favor. Anybody have questions? Yes.
Is it bad to kind of like strive for making your scenes? Thank you. Is it bad to kind of strive for making your scenes at least 3 minutes long? Like, since you already got a location, the actors, the wardrobe
You're
change.
thinking backwards.
I know.
You never think how long should the scene be. Write the scene and let the scene tell you how long it should be. I never say, this is a 6-minute scene, here I go.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I was shooting a feature film last year, and the main actress, it was a story in a 3-year period of a lifetime of a person. And while I was shooting it, I realized that the main actress had 50 wardrobe changes, right? So we were 50. So we were shooting.
Budget film.
No, so we were shooting, like, I was trying to shoot 7 minutes a day, but because of the wardrobe changes and the makeup and the jewelry, it was a little hectic, because it's like we're shooting 3 minutes and she gotta go into wardrobe changes for a minute scene, and this and that. So I said, oh, maybe I should just make scenes longer and just like have the conversations kind of like blending into a scene.
Why don't you make her poor so she doesn't have money to buy all the other clothes? And then we know why she's wearing the same dress in every scene.
I know.
There's always a solution to the problem. It's just not always the most obvious one.
Outside of the box.
What's that?
Outside of the
Yeah,
box.
right. Yes, sir.
How have you dealt when you hit a point? How have you dealt when you hit a point where most people call writer's block?
Never.
Wait, oh, you never had that?
Unfortunately, I wish I did. I'm always capable of improvement. I'm a good guest at a dinner party. I'll just talk shit. I really don't have. I've never had writer's block in my life. I don't understand it. I know it exists.
I mean, did you struggle with a scene like you were like it wasn't coming together the way you wanted?
Yeah.
And go back and redo it.
I tried to say that earlier in the lecture. It's about story structures, the dentist chair, the worst possible day of screenwriting. Like, once I figure out my story, I'll do my synopsis, I'll put muscle to the bone and write a treatment. Sometimes I'll go 20 or 30 pages, all prose. And then I'll go to a scene list and identify the actual scene components. And then I execute. Basically, it takes me, at that point, 10 days, 10 pages a day, I got a screenplay. Now I read it. And I find there's a structural problem. That is not fun. And then I have to sometimes go back to prose to solve the structural problem. I don't try to solve it in the screenplay form, because the screenplay form is an MF. It's a motherfucker. It is not fun to manipulate. It will hypnotize you like nothing else. So I go back to concept concept, I try to reroute it through bottom up, and then attack it. And I'm doing it constantly. I just wrote a screenplay. I shoot it in Puerto Rico, and I thought my third act turned into my second half of my second act.
Thank you.
I'm curious because you brought up Nomadland, and I know it's hard to write like a journey that's a mostly internal journey for a character. And I'm wondering, is there a way you would have been able to rewrite some of that to make it rewrite some of that film to make it less boring? I mean, it was. I don't think like Frances McDormand is great and it was beautifully shot, but I was.
It's narratively
there's a way
great.
to make
It's
that
narratively. Yeah, I wish he had a relationship with David Strathairn that went somewhere somehow, even if he killed her or she killed him or they ran over his dog or something happened. Besides, I'm not sure I want to live in this house. I found it a little bit. The stakes pretty low. Raising stakes is one of the things you've heard us say. It's just a way of. It doesn't mean it has to be a Hollywood film.
Two things, Tommy. First of all, great to see you again. I was happy to see you with this girl. Your synopsis, the most important things in the synopsis.
Read it here. Let's read it. I'll shoot it.
What if Jack Rice can pull off
It's encompassing the entire story, but really, it's an emphasis on character over plot.
Okay.
That's what's important.
And then
it's not the plot of the film.
Okay, it's character over plot. Then when you get to, you're saying you're writing prose.
What?
Then when you say because you say
This is prose.
No. When you say you write like 20 to 30 pages of prose, what is included? What is that? The entire story?
Then I'm into story more so, but not as much as when I actually do scene breakdown. That's the story and scenes. I mean, it's a hybrid form. It's halfway between the synopsis and the script. So I'm pushing towards like a piece of dialogue will occur to me, I'll put it in. But I'm not constructing the screenplay yet. I'm moving in its direction now.
So synopsis is just kind of like a...
It's a pitch. So,
okay.
It's like, the first question is there a movie there?
Is there a what?
A movie there.
Yeah, got it.
Not all ideas are movies.
Can you talk a little bit about your process from selling the script to HBO?
I didn't sell a script to HBO, so I hadn't passed. In fact, this one I was brought in to rewrite somebody they had hired that didn't work. So so they said write a synopsis, and this is what I did. I wrote the synopsis, and then I got the rewrite because they didn't like what was there. But what I do with that one, the last Chateau Vato, which you can see on HBO, it's HBO Max. It's English with a lot of Latino characters. Anyway, it premiered at the Miami Film Festival. I know somebody. I invited them to see it. They saw it and said we want this. And then you get on the phone and talk money. That's how it works. I mean, you have to bring it to the eyes of someone who can buy it. Now, that's what film festivals can do. And I have a pedigree of some sort, so if I say something, let's see what the old guy's doing. It's good to be young in this business, baby.
When I'm writing, I often have a dilemma of whether or not I should just let the dialogue end the scene, or like if something happens, if I should describe how a character is crushed in some action or anything. Do you describe how characters feel?
Okay, it's a good question. Yeah, yes, more and more actually. My writing evolves more and more in that direction. That I'm writing the reaction shots in more and more. Usually a scene ends on a piece of dialogue, and then maybe it goes to the person who just lost the scene, and you see them go, right? So they'll say he contemplates that moment, not sure that he had made the right decision. So I'm actually describing a shot. Yeah, it's fine to do that. But more and more, for some reason, now I am distrusting directors, even if I'm and I'm writing in the psychological reality of the piece, much more so. Which is replete in my synopsis to begin with. The synopsis has a lot of psychological reality, but it doesn't have plot. Plot is the hard work.
I have one other question. I got advice one time that said, it's kind of oversimplification, but it said that you should never have a scene with two people who agree with each other.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Unless the only proper exception is if it's comedic. But then it's probably not comedic. No, someone brought it up. Conflict is the essence of it. Even if it's subtext. Even if I'm saying, hey, let's say I want this water, and you're there and I'm here, and I say, you can have it. The subtext may be I actually want it, but I'm pretending not to want it, so you give it to me because I know you're a really nice guy. That's the psychological dimensions of the movie. But what you have to do as you mature as a screenwriter is look at the whole thing. Don't get stuck in your little moments that, there's something in Hollywood they call killing your babies, which means sometimes throwing away shit you don't think is working and you like, because it really, a good example would be the Wizard of Oz. If you want to have fun, Google Ray Bolger's solo dance. It is incredible! To watch the Scarecrow dance for 3 minutes, it's like, fuck, it's great. But they cut a lot of it out because it hurt the whole film. Woody Allen once said, I take away some of my best lines because it makes my other lines that much better. The speeding of it, the momentum. You watch, if you ever see a film, I tell my students, don't sit in the second row of your film when you're showing it. Sit in the last row and ride the audience. You'll see everyone go like this.